Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of the Backyard SportsCenter podcast. I am your host, Natastic28. Today, I am joined by the reigning champion of the Backyard Baseball Online League, Loba. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm looking forward to a fun night of talking everything backyard.
Nice. I'm really excited about this. Been wanting to have you on since I've had the idea of wanting to do these. Especially I've been wanting to do more content regarding the PvP leagues for both baseball and for football. So
Yeah, because our BBL's got a good 5 seasons before it gets interesting. I'll make my debut in season 14.
14.
It's coming.
It'll be here before we know it. For those of you that don't know, last season, which you won the championship, a lot of changes from that league until now. It almost feels like a completely different kind of gameplay. And
Sort of. By the time playoffs come around, you won't even notice the difference.
I mean, last season, there was all the scum issues as far as all the foul balls and all the weird glitches and stuff about left field being completely useless.
Yeah. Left-handers had a pretty significant advantage in that era. Now it's slightly less so.
And then we didn't have the generics.
Yes, it does change a lot.
So there's a lot of changes in this new season.
Yeah, I feel like players are a lot shorter this season, is something we've noticed. All the generics seem to be too high. Last season, we used all backyard players, all pros. The majority of those are like 3 height or higher. So we're kind of noticing a lot of added value to those either pro players or clones of pro players, which retain their height. And the backyard players are a little bit taller, as a lot of balls have gone over a lot of people's heads. You got a lot of Vicky Kawaguchis running out there. And overall, just a kind of a wider gap. Season 0, right? The rule set there is half your team had to be absolute shitter players, like awful. The only decent player you could have was Marty Cordova, and after that, it was just you're getting like Marquis and Gretchens, and it was not the most fun season. And then last season, we had pretty much way stronger players across the board, as it was just like 5 rounds of people drafted with like your last round pick. Everyone had about one pretty bad player, and that was someone around like Billie Jean Blackwood, like Kenny Kawaguchi, kind of that level of player. And then everyone else from there was like someone that would go about 3rd or 4th round in this season's draft. And this season, it's a wide variety of player skill. You've got those top tier guys, like super cracked out players, Jay Green, Henry, Leah, Lindsay, Chico, people like that are absolutely game changing. And you've got your final round draft picks, which are not so great. You've got the Johnny Omars of the world, the long bombing hits of people like Lena, and the Vicky clones. Brett Olsen out here hitting dingers past home plate.
Brett Olsen is a very known player in the RBBL as well. He's basically a meme at this point. Everyone likes to make fun of him. Especially when it's Brett Olsen playing with JY Knight. Then it's even double hilarious.
We don't have the lore for these generic players set up yet, but the RBBL's had like several seasons to set in stone. We don't have to play with some of the awful players that they have to, so there's slightly less teams or whatever.
Well, actually, there's the same amount of teams. They both have 24 teams.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the RBBL this season got to have slightly better players than the online league because
the 2003 clones kind of mixed in there.
Because of 2003 got, half is 2003, half is 2001. There's an extra, 20-something players.
Yeah, so those last round picks also get to use the power up too there, so their stats are kind of boosted. I don't have to feel like such a dead fish if I were to bust out Diana on that tournament. I'd at least be able to hit a power up with her.
It's a lot easier to get power-ups. Well, actually, I don't know. Because, part of the strategy in the RBBL is trying to get a power-up.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of the online season last season, too, even though we weren't allowed to admit it until now. That was definitely meta-defining. This season less so, but, it still helps.
Especially since you won the entire thing on a power-up.
No, I didn't win it. Billie Jean won it, and she would have hit a home run like that anyway, even if it weren't for the aluminum power. She really cracked it. And the bat before, she got a legitimate ground rule double. So, you know that she has that dog in her. Billie Jean is built different from everyone else.
Billie Jean is the anti-Tony.
Yep, she's not my lover though. Not Marky's either. Anyway, digressing. Yeah, this season's been definitely a lot of good teams. Also a lot of parity. Like everyone's lost at this point. So there's still a lot of top teams we haven't seen face each other. So that should be pretty interesting when those things come up, like Viscera versus Battlehammer on Stun. There's still 3-6-1 teams in our division. The other division has 2-6-1 teams, and their game against each other was pretty damn good. I mean, there are only like a few stragglers really in the league, and even they're figuring it out. Except for B-ball. B-ball sucks.
Yeah, I think let's start with the backyard league, which currently has a 3-way tie for first place between Fizzery's
Yeah, and I lost by 1 run to all 3 of these
Blue
guys.
Monsters, Battlehammer's Pittsburgh Pirates, and Hunt Stunt Seattle Mariners. I always have a hard time. It's tongue twister.
Yeah, I mean, so Viscera, he batted the best of anyone last season. Somebody didn't make the playoffs. He adopted a team last year, but that threesome of Heat, Luann, and Mikey was just crazy. Like everyone on his team batted like 400 or better. This season, kind of more of the same. Some good batting from him, and our game was one of many nail biters. Came down to the wire, but he ended up pulling out there. I think in overtime. I feel like most of my games have been overtime at this point. But yeah, Viscera was the team that stayed undefeated for the longest amount of time. Probably still a favorite. Has only the third best point differential, but the best of anyone in the backyard league. I mean, Premier League's both the leagues look both the conferences, I should say, they look very similar, like up and down. There's not one that's overwhelmingly stronger than the other. But top of the backyard league, a lot of people that need to play each other still. So there should be some really marquee matchups.
Yeah, Hunt and Battlehammer still have to go against Fizzery. Fizzery plays Hunt Stunt.
Yep. And they have to play each other
at Tin Can Alley. No, actually at Hunt Stunt Stadium. And then Battlehammer goes to Tin Can Alley to play Fizzery in week 10.
Yeah, all the 6-1 teams have yet to play each other.
That's just crazy. So that's going to get jumbled around in some form. Hopefully we can get some of those games either recorded or live stream on the Twitch channel. That would be hype. Then next we got Alex with a 5-2 record currently in the 4th spot, not tied by anyone, with a plus 11 run differential. That's the 3rd highest in the league conference.
Yeah, so he started out by facing me and Battlehammer right away and started off to an 0-2 start. But I mean, now 5 wins in a row for him. He's right back up in there. So don't give up on your season early, boys and girls. Take that home with you. Don't give up like B-ball did. You don't want to be a bum.
Interesting, fitting that you beat him by 1 run.
I mean, I don't think there's been a game I've played that wasn't decided by like 1 run, maybe 1. Oh, well, the Iraq-Az game, but that doesn't really count. Every other game was decided by 1, yes. Traditional Marlins fashion.
That is very fitting for you.
We'll turn them into 1-run wins in the playoffs.
Every single game is a close game. Win or loss, every single time.
Yep. Hey, keep it interesting. And then you got Arc Thunder, who another person beat me by 1 run. Early in the season, gave me my first loss. We met in the playoffs last season. It was not a very good time for him. I kind of owned him on his own field, but he took that personally, and he came back with a vengeance this season. Stuck it to me, and now he's right there on the edge of the playoff hunt, holding off me and fellow Team Grid member DJK there on the outside looking in. Yeah, he just had a really close one.
At 2-5, I'm kind of surprised that Personizel has been struggling, and also Steel Eye.
He's one of the best players in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, this is really surprising that both of them have been struggling.
Not so much surprising for Steel Eye, just because he was like the last place player in last season as well. But I mean, he's getting there. It's not like he's been getting blown out. His run differential isn't nearly as bad as like the Red Sox or the Astros. Not the worst team in the league anymore. That is called progress. After 2 straight seasons of the Bombers being either my brother or Steel Eye being the last place in the league, at least they've got something to hang their hat on. Not worse than the Astros, not worse than the Red Sox. And they're probably not worse than the Padres either, because those guys are bums.
Personizel 2-5 record, but has a +1 run differential. That's some bad luck right there.
Absolutely insane. I don't know how he lose to B-ball, but somehow he did. Yeah, he was one of my like top 3 favorites overall coming in my the preseason power ranks there. He was in first place like all of last year. for a good amount of last season, the Hornets are on top with Maria Luna. This season, though, it's just been very rough. Literally scoring more than he's giving up. Just some really tough losses. A lot of big wins. I mean, you already know who, you don't say.
A lot of it was a 12-3 victory over, but with a big three of Xena, Maynard, and Star, I thought that they were going to score a bunch of runs.
And on Cement Gardens, too. Like, that's really scary. 1, 2, 3.
But probably is the defense isn't that great.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of weak spots on the team, too. A lot of weak arms.
Yeah, Mike Piazza, I think he was having at first or catcher. I don't remember which one.
Oh, I was watching him the other day, and he kind of sold from first, which is weird because he's always played first on every team. In the last 2 seasons, Mike has been like absurdly good, considering where he's been drafted and all that. And he's still batting good this season. He's batting .390. Don't get me wrong, but usually he does a good job of just staying at first base. Just couldn't help himself this last time around. Yeah, just some really tough losses. Like he gave everything he could in the Battle Hammer game. Lost by 1 to Hunt Stunt, lost by 1 to me, lost by 1. No, he won by 1 to Arco Thunder. Kind of got destroyed by Visery though.
Well, everyone gets destroyed by Visery.
And most recently, yeah, just lost by 1 to Question Monkey. No, not everyone.
Doesn't matter what league you're in. If you're playing Visery, you're going to get destroyed. Just how it works.
What about Gonzos? I've yet to play Gonzos. I've scrimmed him once early in the league. I know he's got Jay Green out there, Mr. Pablo himself. Only 1-5 this season, but not the worst run differential either. It's not. I mean, he has about the same record as Colby, but with like 44 less of a run differential. I feel like he's had some close games. I haven't really seen what he's done in the season. Yeah, he just won 5-0 against Eli.
Gonzos only lost by 1 to Visery week 1, then lost 6-0 to Hunt Stunt, lost by 3 to Battle Hammer, lost by 2 to Question Monkey, by 3 to Alex.
To be fair, that's a gauntlet. That's a gauntlet to start the season. Playing Visery, Hunt Stunt, and Battle Hammer, the 3-6-1 teams in your first 3 weeks. That's rough.
Basically, so his first 5 games that he's played were all teams that are in the playoffs right now.
All against the teams in the playoffs right now. Yeah, that's rough. He doesn't get Urakas till the final.
So he plays DJK.
Unfortunate.
Next, that's his week 7 game. But he's got a good roster. You got Jay Green, you got Nomar, you got Jason Kendall. The double Gwyn though, I don't really understand that at all.
Wait, so he has Tony Gwynn and Tony Gwynn's clone?
Yes.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I had Tony Gwynn last year. That dude is trash. I think as a free agent, he batted like 1 for 20 or something. Yeah, he sucks. He's nothing like the actual Tony Gwynn. They did him dirty in this game.
I took over for Little Cat in season 0 that had Tony Gwynn. I struggled with him mightily.
Yeah, that dude just sucks this game. He's too slow. His arm's too bad for a pro. I mean, what can you do? And also, it's all contact in this game. I mean, all contact is great. Just, look at Chico. But you need power with that or it's useless. I mean, just look at Jocinda. Lee or Annie.
Tony Gwynn is definitely like one of the number 1 candidates as far as pro players, as far as like getting a stat modification to what he actually was in real life.
I mean, he should just look like Raul, let's be real. Maybe even better. I don't know. Well, again, he wasn't really a home run hitter. It's kind of hard to make like a contact player in this game. They tried to with Ichiro, but they had to make him like super OP in a lot of categories to kind of make that happen. This game just isn't. This game is very unforgiving to line drives, especially in online play.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the contact isn't even like 100. It's only 84. Annie Frazier actually has a better contact rating than Tony Gwynn.
As a kid, you look at her. She's like good at every stat, but she's actually bad. You don't realize that until you're a grown-ass man, the data mine the game, and then you look at it and go, aha, I knew it. I knew it. I knew she was bad. Her player stats is a lie. It's like how Lisa's is a lie.
Yeah, the only thing that's really good is like the contact and the attention and the decent speed.
She's very attentive. But hey, down at the bottom here, Steel Eye and Urakaz. I feel like we talked about Steel Eye a little bit. Urakaz kind of he's a new guy on here trying to get the hang of things. Still pitching outside. There's a lot of good players who never do at this point. He's very set in his ways. It caused a lot of drama during the trade deadline, the trade week we had just like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Basically trying to trade away everyone on his team for like nothing, and I'm going to be convinced that maybe he shouldn't do that.
Really, a big fan of Reese Worthington for I don't know what reason.
I've come to enjoy some of the backyard players I never enjoyed before because of the league. Mostly Billie Jean, my sweet Billie Jean, best first baseman of all time, and Sally Dobbs, who I would have never used growing up. Now I know about her, man. I mean, the secret's out. I love that girl. She's got that dog in her for sure. But Reese sucks.
Yeah, Sally's one of the players. Like I never used Sally like really growing up too, but she is really
Yeah,
a good
she's really
player.
bad too, but man, is she good. She's like both.
And now he has Dante and Reese on his team.
Is he the one with double Dante? I feel like he's the one with double Dante.
I don't think that he has double Dante.
Well, he did. Because I know whoever had Dante had like a Dante clone as well. I don't know. Either way, maybe Hunstunt just has both of the Dante clones, but not Dante. That's what it is.
Hunstunt had Jordan Thorner and Dante, but then traded
Yeah.
away Dante.
It was a trade. That's right. That's right. Yeah, Dante came a clutch for me in that game against Arco Thunder in the playoffs last season. So I mean, don't ever count him out.
Dante is solid. Just make sure you get him in the right round and don't overdraft him.
That's the thing with all these backyard kids. They pretty much all went overdrafted, and their clones were just way good value.
Well, Dante, first round pick in the RBBL.
Okay, well,
so.
yeah, so is Annie. All right.
Annie was round 2.
Oh, right, of course. Close. She was like one of the first picks around too. I mean, she's just like that.
So just look at all the value that you guys got in the online league of drafting those first and second round players in round like 5 and round 8.
Hey, we even had some generics get picked before their pro counterpart. Raul's clone, Jessica, got picked before, and most notably, Nomar's clone. But that one makes the most sense. You don't have to deal with that awful walk-up animation. It takes 10 seconds.
That is true. For some reason, they just decided to give Nomar the longest animation.
No, it's definitely true to form with how it was in MLB. I mean, they just had to painstakingly make it the same walk-up superstition as it is in real life, which is just obnoxious. But hey, good player. Overdrafted, though, I think. I mean, everybody loves Nomar for some reason.
It's a solid player.
I didn't even know that he was like a good pitcher growing up. I had no idea. But I mean, I guess I didn't know about Sean Green either.
Sean Green is like one of the most famous players for like being known for like 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
He's known for like where he had that one game where he had like 5 homers in or something.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that as a kid.
But like I don't remember like anything else about Sean Green outside of backyard baseball.
This game always made me mad though because Nomar was always known for his outstanding defense, but his defense is really mid in this game.
Your defense is above average, but it's not like amazing.
Well, I mean, it lists him as 10 out of 10 on fielding. I would never complain, but I'd always feel like, man, his arm is just not very good. And, the deep numbers come out later, and it confirms it. Not a very good arm, like 70. Anywho, hey, go to the Front Yard League. I don't know much about this league because I haven't played any of these guys outside of scrims, but JY Knight, Willigan.
Yeah, the top 3 are definitely the highlights of the Front Yard League for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've scrimmed all 3 of these guys a lot, and Killer Bat always destroys me. I've beaten the other 2. It was close.
Yeah, Killer Bat and Willigan are OG online players. They used to play way back in the day.
They would bully 9-year-old me online, the servers, the actual servers.
Yeah, in the actual servers.
Surprised we haven't gotten more of those people. I mean, we'll see them. We should just
well, we just gotta find them.
We should use that leaderboard and just like find everyone with those gamer tags. Be like, hey, come on, you still got it in you. Just hit them up on Twitter or something.
Yeah, we just need those marketing dollars to come in so we can recruit more people.
Money well spent. So yeah, Willigan has been he's been really, really, really good. He has the best ERA of any team. And you look at his batters across the board. I mean, he's got Lindsay batting .680, which is crazy. And also Whitney Singh batting over 500.
It's all those grounders.
Kind of crazy to me because she's got that 25 overall power with just decent contact. But somehow she's able to make that work a majority of the time.
Because of that 7 speed.
You got slow-ass Fabian who's hitting almost 500. That is scary, too.
5 homers, that's part of, and 12 RBIs for Fabian.
Yeah, she makes that connection. Honestly, it'd be a pretty good tin can alley team. Oh, yeah.
And they are at Parks, so easy to hit homers, and you get some of those random bounces for Whitney and Rosanna. How's he doing with Mo? Only batting three.
Yeah, Mo was crazy last year. He's got 3 home runs this season. But yeah, that's half of his 6 hits. The batting average wise not doing too great, but I mean he is getting home runs out of the park. He has so many home runs on his team. Like I have like 3. He has like
16.
16 home
Yeah,
runs.
Lindsay
Yeah.
has 5.
They're pitching this guy some
Fabian has
meatballs over there
5.
in the
Mo has
backyard league.
3.
I don't know. I don't know what's up with that.
Alina has 1.
That is a power up if I've ever seen one. Lena, the most obnoxious player to use, I found.
He's got
You put her in the outfield, she just ignores everything.
the Frank clone.
Just that one attention.
Lena just got abused recently in a RBBL game because of that one aggression.
I believe it. Okay, so one aggression. She's like, no, I don't want to be near the ball. Get that away from me. That's disgusting.
And what's weird is that like Tony, she's a clone of, has like 100 aggression.
I feel like she's a clone of like Tony versus Angela. Whoever Tony plays Angela, he gets down to one aggression. I don't know if that works. Obviously, all the other stats are not copied over from that. Just that one aggression point, which is weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird why that's the only thing that got changed.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted just, but a lot of the other ones are like direct clones, so it's kind of interesting why that happened.
There's some of them that are kind of weird. Like, I think they just changed some characters from 97 to 2001, but most of the clones are based off of 97. Like, Jay and Leah are much better than the Nerf version of Pablo in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Ronnie Dobbs clones are a little different. The Keisha clones are a little different because Keisha's like her clones are really OP when it comes to pitching, but they tone down her pitching. And then Ahmed's clones also are way better. Like Fred and Jane, they're like fast, as where Ahmed is slow. But yeah, you've also got JY Knight, the Melon Heads, a very known RBBL player.
Yes, very well known.
Looked like one of the favorites off the bat from that the RBBL. What was it? The Alpha tournament, the test tournament with the new patch, where we just grab people's RBBL.
Yeah,
teams.
and he ended up winning that.
Yeah, he won that in astonishing fashion. He won every single game. I mean, granted, he rolled a pretty good online team. I rolled a pretty awful team overall. But I mean, you draft a lot differently for the 2 leagues, and those teams were drafted with like AI fielding in mind and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But what's crazy about JY is that his team average is almost 500.
Yeah.
474 team average. That's really, really good.
Well, he knows when they're balls and when they're not. Very good reading the ball.
Except he can't do that for RBBL games. Only for online games, it seems like.
Batting 1,000 with Aaron Harris, because of course.
And what was even more hilarious about that was that the last game was that Freak Show did not want anything to do with Aaron Harris. And then JY picks the set like 5 minutes after Freak Show drops him, picks him up, and then he goes to play Freak Show and then has 2 for 2 with a home run.
Aaron Harris got a home run. Okay, no. Was that a legitimate home run? She has 57 power. That's like almost Lisa levels.
I believe that was a legitimate home run.
Wow. I want to know what was going through Freak Show's head at that moment. I mean, he had been talking with me about how he has definitely wanted to get rid of Aaron. Like, his team was kind of a troll. He kind of picked up a very weird team, very powerful team, but also a team that had 0 pitching, just completely punted pitching. He had both the Marxist brothers drafted, kind of way overdrafted, and it was just kind of a troll team overall. It didn't have anything in mind but power, 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 power. I mean, he was able to make it work. He took that team and had the highest scoring game of all time not too long ago.
He had 19-1, or 19 runs scored in that game.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the more interesting teams. I mean, Freak Show's not really a bad player himself. He didn't really want anything to do with this league because he would only ever use pro players. And then he ended up making trades like for only generics. Like he hated generics so long. I think it's finally starting to come around to him. Yeah, this league is definitely more of, it could go anyone's way. I mean, the top 3 guys in this league, Willigan, JY Knight, and Killer Bat, they're all really good. But like DLW also, like if you look at his schedule, he started off this season like insane. His first 4 games, he gave up 2 runs. Never more than 1 run in the game, and then he gets obliterated kind of by JY Knight 0-6, and he's been on a 3-game losing streak since. I mean, the Yankees looked like the team to beat early on. Just had a really hard schedule facing the 2 top guys in the last 3 weeks in this 3-game losing streak. His season looking a little similar to mine right now.
Yeah, and Trigatris is also a veteran of online play, so
Been doing surprisingly poorly this season, but I know he can turn it around. I mean, he's basically the personizzle of this division. Where he's 2-5, but only a -5 run difference. It's like a tough schedule so far.
I'm really curious to. I think that like the generics, it for some people they pick them up a lot better than other people do.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like as they play more games with these generic players, if like the end of this season and if they play more future seasons and we keep doing this format.
People's values are going to get figured out. Like the drafts are going to start to get really efficient.
Mm-hmm.
This draft was kind of like people just guessing because we've never really used these generics much. I think as we go on, the ADP of everyone's going to get more and more fine tuned, and we'll be using previous season's ADP to determine where people should be drafted now. We had a pretty decent idea, but there were still some severely under and over drafted guys.
And that was kind of one thing that we were hypothesizing was that the people that had experience from the RBBL would have a slightly more advantage as far as drafting. But there's been a good variety of, it's not just been the RBBL people winning every single game.
It's not been the veterans either.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of new players are doing really well. Hunt Stunt, Battlehammer, Willigan, Clearbat. I mean, a few of those guys are just like OGs of the original game, and they're just good.
Yeah, I remember Battlehammer, I think out of all the teams so far, they've surprised me the most. Because I remember like when they were first starting, they were I think it was in the tournament, the new build tournament, and I was playing against them, and I think they were just trying to get used to everything again, but they weren't anything like anywhere close to how good they are doing in this season. So must have been all those practice games and.
Well, he's one of the OGs, right? Because I feel like him and Killer Bat are related or something. They're friends.
I know Willie getting Killer better related.
Oh, those are the two. Okay. I don't even know where Battlehammer came from, but yeah, he's really good. There was something we didn't talk about that we kind of skipped over in the backyard league. I want to point out my Team Grid teammate DJK. He started off rough, but I mean he's turned it around. He's had some really really good games recently, including an absolute thriller comeback in the bottom of the sixth to win against Battlehammer, the only person to beat Battlehammer this season, and then turned it around, beat Question Monkey last week as well. Lost by just one to Hunt Stunt the week before that too. So I mean, he might be the guy that kicks me out of the playoffs. That final game, me versus him, might actually mean something with the way things are shaking out.
Yeah, could be like a possible like match of the week. I don't know, it's something that we do in our BBL that it'd be really cool to get going for the online league, kind of have like a showcase game, but
yeah,
hopefully at some point we can get that situated.
I feel like this week has got to be. Hold on, let me look at the schedule real quick. Well, we already had. Oh, I guess it would just be JY Knight versus Killer Bat. That's got to be the game of the week for this upcoming week.
For what is this going to be? Week 8, right?
Yeah, there's no other game that's even close. I think to JY Knight and Killer Bat. Those are two of the three best teams in the backyard league, the front yard league.
Yeah, I agree. That has to be the game for sure.
They're both tied first place in run differential, plus 30. So if you go by run differential, those are the two top teams in the entire league. I mean, granted, they played Colby, so it kind of throws things off a little bit. I mean, having just played guys like the Astros, the Red Sox, that does throw the stats off around here a little bit. I mean, we had JY Knight's game against the Red Sox.
Yeah, and that's going to be at Big City Stadium. Orioles and Killer Bat have home field on that one. So that would be really cool to get on. I'll have to talk to JY, see if I can get that set up sometime.
Yeah, set it up. Set up that match of the week next
Also,
week.
I would say the other games, Visery and Alex's game looks pretty interesting. Battlehammer and Arco look interesting. Your game against Question Monkey looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some good ones, but when it comes down to two teams that are, well, they're 6-1 and 5-2, you can't go wrong with that one.
Now, to finish out the current playoff teams for the Front Yard League, some teams I actually don't know a whole lot about. Matitude and Swilly.
Both of those are newcomers.
Swilly, of course, came under fire. Yeah, Swilly came under fire after trying to pick Angelo Del Vecchio in the third round. Turns out, not a troll. No, not a guy moment there. Just a big Angelo fan. And they're making it work. 4-3. Had Matitude, who...
What if Swilly is just a Raha's alt?
Hey, maybe. I don't know. Now, if that was the case, Rajas just would have played as Rajas. Come on. No chance.
I know, I'm just messing around.
But yeah, I don't think I ever like scrimmed the Cardinals or anything. I feel like I've scrimmed mostly everybody, but not the Cardinals. I don't know. I don't know how good they are. Did play Matitude once. He was the guy that got the perfect game with Kenny Kawaguchi.
Yeah, Schwilly has 4-3.
He's pitching the lights out with Kenny. 31 strikeouts, 1.7 ERA. And he's faced all batters but one so far in the season for him. So, and that 100 stamp coming in strong. With only one pitch, too, the slow ball. That seems awful. But, I mean, he's making it work. Slow ball god.
Well, if he likes pitching slow balls, maybe he should draft Ivan next season.
He could be the one. We got Ricky out there. We got Ricky out there this season. Surely we can get Ivan out there eventually. Just add a few more teams.
Yeah.
You know who the biggest Ivan King fan is?
Who?
It's Quentin Driver. Because I feel like Quentin deserves so much of the shit that Ivan gets, but Ivan just gets all of it. When low-key, Quentin is actually even worse than Ivan.
There's a few Ivan fans out there from the RBBL included in one of the...
Oh, they're fans, but they stop being fans when it's the final round, and it's their turn to pick them. All of a sudden, the fandom goes away. The true fan would be out here picking Ivan. We haven't seen it yet.
I don't know. We'll see if anyone's brave enough to pick Ivan next season.
I got a hit with him once. All right, it can happen.
I pitched the perfect game with Ivan in a side season in the RBBL server.
Wow. I wonder what his batting average would be. Probably not very good.
It was bad. But I pitched like 2 perfect games with him.
It's kind of hard to do against AX. Sometimes they just have insane hits. But anyway, looking at the guys who are the outside looking in the front yard league, you got El Chris Blanco, and talk about big shoes to fill. Granted, I know that fish don't really wear shoes, but I mean filling in for the GOAT Laharo after his strange disappearance into the world of anime girls or whatever it was.
I think it was something anime related.
Look, man, we've all fallen victim to scams before, but he'll find us again someday.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
He'll turn up one day. He'll come back with the milk. But yeah, Chris, I've seen him stream a couple of games. I'm kind of aware of how he plays. Granted, it was against some, I think I watched him play like Colby and Coach Code, so really not the most to learn from those games, but still looking solid out there, 3-3. Then the Devil Rays, freak show, and, we convinced him to pick up this team after an absolute bum drafted and abandoned this team. Big bum. Shout out to Lucy Loser, bum of the year. Even more of a bum than B-Ball.
That's pretty impressive to be worse than B-Ball.
B-Ball's 1-5. Also, I don't know where he is. He's somewhere. Probably in Mexico again with the cartel.
Who knows?
Every now and again, he goes to Mexico and risks getting abducted. Maybe he's abducted for real this time.
I don't know. All I know is that he's been slacking on his football tournaments.
Absolutely, I swear. Not like he would win them anyway, but gotta see him get out here and get active.
I'm really looking forward to the Fish Bowl in week 9, Chris versus JY. That's a big RBBL rivalry.
Oh, I thought you were saying the Fish Bowl, like the Marlins fishes, like we're supposed to have in the playoffs last year. That is always a big one. Yeah, you've got, after those teams, Trigga Triz, 2-5. Again, I think we've talked about him. He's not a 2-5 player. He's much better than that. He's just had some really tough breaks in his games. Had a really tough schedule. I think Coach Code, Billie Jean Blackwood enjoyer, ruined my draft by stealing Billie Jean from me. 2-5. I mean, he's done fine. I thought I'd do a little bit worse than that. I thought I'd be looking like some of the other players out there, but no, he's been fine. He's figured it out. Get up on B-Ball.
With Thor and Johnny, the bottom of his draft is kind of a little...
I mean, Thor's got a cannon, but yeah, that was a weird... I don't think anyone would actually pick him. But Jomar, come on. You had to get Jomar out there. For Jomar. Jomar is very excited to see him get picked.
Jomar only is good if Jomar plays with him.
Yeah, well, we gotta get Jomar in the season next year. Maybe Johnny's had enough time in the spotlight, though, because not looking... Oh, no, he's doing better than Thor, at least, batting-wise. He's doing fine. Batting 260, I mean, we take those. Better than Kimmy, surprisingly. I think he was doing everything he could to trade away Ekman Akers with Kimmy, and there were just no takers, sadly.
Ekman's a pretty good field, but you just have to know how to use it and have a team that can play there.
I would have because wanted to do some kind of trade for Billie Jean, but that is not a field I enjoy playing at. I'm come from the dirt. I've been built and morphed by dirt. I know nothing but dirt. I'm quite a dirty player. And then get down to the absolute
Well, if
scrubs.
you're such a dirty player, then why did you despise the Laharo special?
I don't despise it. You respect the player and you respect the game. And you can hate the rules, but look, it's just game theory, man. You gotta do what you gotta do out there, even when it's cringe. When it's playoff time, you gotta be cringe.
Yeah, I know, like you last season when you were like, I really don't want to pitch these corners, but I just have to.
You have to, and it's the playoffs, and it's embarrassing. It's cringe, but you gotta do it. Only in the playoffs, though. If you're doing the regular season, you're a bum. Speaking of cringe, look at these San Diego Padres. Very cringe. I've watched most of B-Ball's games. Usually, are just in Discord together, streaming it, and yeah, his team kind of blows. So Barry Bonds is ass. Can we just say this now? We've had 3 seasons of evidence that Barry Bonds is ass. Season 0, he was trash. Season 1, he was the only first-round pick that was trash. Every other first-round pick batted at least like 300-something. Barry Bonds batted like 100 and was one of the leaders in strikeouts on the season. Like, he was ass. And then he's ass for B-Ball. Not a very good carry.
8 strikeouts, batting 176.
Yeah, just bad. And him and Cal Ripken Jr., you'd expect them to be defensive gods out there. They're out there putting up errors, dropping balls, throwing at their feet. I don't know what's going on. B-Ball has had probably one of the unluckier seasons on the year. I've heard him gripe a lot about that, but yeah, kind of a bum L team. And then you've got the Red Sox, who are the Red Sox, and beat B-Ball. So that's what it comes down to there.
Yeah, Bonds, for some reason, just
not good in online play. Doesn't have enough power.
In both RBBL and online, if you have them on your team, it's just not a good sign.
I don't know. Just a curse.
It's all those roids.
This is pre-roid Bonds, too. I don't know.
Maybe he needs to take some more then.
No, he needs to put corks in his bat. I mean, Sammy is way better. I'll always go for Sammy. But even want to talk about the Red Sox somehow are even worse than the Astros when it comes to run differential. But unlike the Astros, they did get to play B-Ball and got a free win. But they've given up some numbers, to say the least. They've given up some real numbers. Let's see. First two games, granted, they play the 2 best teams in the league to start off with, but 8-0 loss against Willigan, then 15-0 loss against JY Knight, and then the absolute...
And then beat Trigatris 2-1.
Oh, yes. No, okay, so he wasn't the one that beat B-Ball. Right. He beat Trigatris.
Last week of the season, they played B-Ball.
Yeah, there's some close losses, but against Killer Bat, 9-0 loss there. And the Freak Show game. Oh, the Freak Show game. That's where it really all fell apart. 19-1 loss at Tin Can. Just throwing meatballs, man. I don't think anyone's told them not to.
Tin Can's a fun field.
Yeah, especially when you're being fed those middle outside pitches, power hitters. Yeah, it could be a very fun field, getting big old meatballs like that.
Or when you're scoring 450 runs.
Ashley Weber and Melissa Waters, the only one batting over 200 for him. I mean, that's a little bit skewed because he just acquired Ahmed and Mandy, and their stats kind of reset, but still looking really rough. Mr. Clanky, the only person to get a hit for him last game against Killer Bat, and he's batting 133. So I'm wondering how Clanky would work out. So far this season, that has been a bust, but we may need more data. We may need to see him on a more formidable team.
I don't know how Clanky is doing defensively. You would think that Clanky would be doing pretty good defensively.
I mean, he'd be doing pretty darn good if he could pitch, but banished from pitching. So he'll be one of the hardest to judge the actual value of for next season in the draft. He could probably be mocked to go in several different rounds because we're just unsure of that value. I think he was one of the biggest question marks coming in this season, along with the pitchers. A lot of people were arguing about how high the pitchers should go in this season's draft, and you look at the Mariners. And it's clear to see that if you're looking at Randy Johnson, that could be highly valuable.
It would be interesting to see if Clanky is going to get banned from pitching in the future.
I probably should be, honestly, because I could not imagine being able to use a 95 heat unlimited. That's pretty strong.
Or have a pitch count.
Yeah, they need to put Luann Louie on a pitch count. This poor girl has pitched 80 times, and she's 4 years old. And it hurt. She got a Tommy John surgery at 6 years old. But yeah, I mean, that does it for the league. You got the league figured out here. You want to hear about my secret project that I've done in preparation for this podcast? Because why the hell not?
Yes, we all need to know your secret project.
Oh yeah. So I just imported the league into a coach file and just let it rip. And I mean, so far a lot of teams that are good this season are good in this league. I think they have 8 teams for the playoffs, being the Melonheads, the Yankees, the A's, or so I should say the names of these coaches with it. You got JY Knight's Melonheads, the DLW's Yankees, Coach Codes Athletic. Oh no, it's Gonzo's Athletics, right? And then I couldn't get the exact teams in there because I don't know how to swap out teams in the coach files. But the Athletics are playing the Twins, who are the Dodgers. So it's Coach Code versus Gonzo's there. And then the National League, it's the Fishes and the Marlins. So yeah, Fishbowl. And then you've got the Monsters, and who are actually the Wombats in this. It is kind of confusing. I had to like switch around who the Monsters were because they have Maria. I had to switch them to a pink team. Yeah, the Monsters are Question Monkeys, Wombat, go up against the Reds, who are Killer Bats, Orioles. So those are the teams that made the playoff. I think the worst team was the Astros in this one as well. And then batting average on the season, shout out to Rose Flugel. Very random, but she batted 700. Only person to bat 700. By far the batting average leader. Followed by Ahmed and Chico at 600. And then, speaking of Chico, I mean, slugging-wise, it was all Chico and Marcellus Marks all season. They had an epic home run battle. I don't know what you'd call it. It looked like Sammy Sosa versus Mark McGwire out there, with Marcellus coming out ahead one week and then Chico hitting 2 and coming out. Like, his epic battle ended up being Chico just edging out Marcellus at the end there, with Jay Green a bit, looking back, or Jay Green is in third, but it wasn't really necessarily close. It was all Chico and Marcellus. And oddly enough, Marilyn McDonald tied for fourth in home runs, even though she is not a power hitter. She's like a Derek Jeter clone. That was kind of weird to see, but she did a lot in carrying the Melonheads. Another weird one was Amir was second in doubles. I guess it's boosted Amir, but still, that was an interesting one. Also, Ivan Rodriguez tied for second in doubles. Not someone you'd think of getting a whole lot of doubles. I guess just a lot of ground roll doubles or something. I don't know how the simulation actually works in backyard baseball. I don't know if the stats are randomly generated or they just run a game super fast. No idea how that's all coded.
I think the simulation values certain stats more than others. At least that's what Vizzery has mentioned, I think, previous.
I wonder what it is about Marcellus then that just made him go so ham. I mean, I had to play my games, but I played them all in Control F mode, and I lost a lot. I barely made the playoffs. It's very hard to like swing and time your swings in Control F mode, but I mean, when you're playing against AI, it's very hard to not do extremely well with Chico.
Chico's just amazing.
Who surprisingly in our season, surprisingly, Chico only has 1 home run, but he is like the leader in the league by far in multi-base hits, because I've hit the wall on dirt yards like 5 times with Chico. Like, literally, if I go Steel Stadium this year, I have like 6 home runs at least with Chico. I mean, it kind of is what it is. He's an interesting one. Like, he was drafted like 12th or 13th overall by me. I feel like he should get drafted a lot higher. He's top 5 in like every offensive stat outside of home runs. It's just that combination of power and accuracy. No one else has that outside of like, Zenon and Xena, Elon Musk kid, but they're slow. I mean, Chico's got the speed as well. He's just such a unique character, and I think he should get drafted 7th next year, probably right after Sammy Sosa.
It's the defense that I think people were a little hesitant on.
I think everyone highly overrated defense this year, really, because I mean, having an offensive playmaker is way too important, especially with your first round pick. Like, Chico basically single-handedly carries me, and then you look at guys and girls like Lindsay kind of carrying her team, or Leah. I mean, getting a first, something that BBOL has complained about to me, and I'm sure some other players had to draft later on, it's like getting a top 10 pick is so important. I feel like we did something with that snake draft where it was kind of all right. We were mixing it up around. I don't know exactly how it ended up being, but like we did like snake drafts within snake drafts. I think you should get punished severely in the rest of the draft if you pick in the top 10, really top 6 pick. I'd say the top 7 picks. If you pick in the top 7, maybe 8, you throw Pablo in there. We're seeing Pablo, maybe even like Pete, be like really, really important. But maybe to be safe, like the top 10 picks, getting one of those is so important. It really can't be understated how important it is to pick in the top 10, because you get an absolute difference maker that other teams are just missing.
Yeah, I think that getting one of those top players is a lot more important in this league than it is versus in the RBBL.
Oh yeah, for sure. I figure RBBL is more about not having weak links in your team, as this one's like you need difference maker players.
Yeah, because if you have one player that's going to get an out, it's not necessarily because a lot of the games are like 5 runs or less.
Oh yeah.
So you just need to be able to score your 5 runs and then go from there.
Most of my players would be lucky to get like one hit, like 3 or 4 at bats, and then like Chico will go for like 3 for 4, no problem. In the last game, he almost got the cycle for me, hit 4 for 4, kind of did it all. Dude, I need to tell you about this last game I had against this Battle Hammer. It was such a close one. It was a crazy game. We didn't stream it or anything, but I go up 2-0 overall. I'm doing pretty well. Kind of Diana's pitching the lights out, and I mean, shout out to Diana, probably my favorite draft pick this year because she's my last round pick, but just her combination of stamina and a good heat and a pretty solid left hook. Like she's a really good pitcher. She's top 5 in like all the pitching stats, so solid value there. Way more value than I got from stinky Gary Allen, or not Gary Allen, sorry, Terry Vega. Not so scary this year. But got Diana going hard. We have a bit of a problem inning where I had tried Uma out in the outfield for this game, and that ended up being the death of me because she's just slow enough to where she can't get the ball in right field, gets people on base. Bases are loaded for Tony Del Vecchio, and he ends up hitting a grand slam with Tony off of a fireball.
Oh,
I throw a fireball, he instantly swings, and it's just a home run, just barely over the left field wall and dirt yard. So I go from, feeling pretty good about myself, up 2-0 to down 4-2, which, last season that would be an insurmountable lead. Can't really come back from that. But I get it together. Chico hits a bomb for me, and then good old Molly May does the same shortly afterwards. We get tied at 4. We go into extra innings. He has a power up. Pete hits a crazy bunt. I have a clip of it posted in the clip section here. He hits a crazy bunt and instantly gets fielded by Sally Dobbs, catches it on first base. I mean, she's just like that. But late in the overtime, Pete hits a line drive out to none other than Uma Morris, who is just too slow to field it. Hits the wall, and you know how Pete is. If Pete hits the ball and it goes in the outfield and is not an instant out, that's just a home run. And it was just a home run. It was 5-4. So one of the closer, better games of the year. I mean, yet another one-run loss by yours truly, but it was a really good game. Anyone can kind of be anyone in this league, I swear, outside of like maybe a few teams that are kind of just lost in the sauce.
That's one thing I really like about, I mean, you do have teams that have a little bit better record that are, the favorites, but there's a lot of parity that any given week, most teams could beat most teams.
I mean, I'm very close to being 7-0, but I just happen to be 3-4. I'm probably also pretty close to being like 1-6.
That is true.
And then there are some other absolute bangers. I have to remind myself of them. I would recommend anyone listening to occasionally go into our BBL server and online. Viscery usually writes some pretty good synopsis of the games as they happen. He watches most of them and gives a good write-up. So if you ever miss a game, definitely check out that server. Go in there. Like recently the JOI Knight versus Freak Show game was really good. That one went pretty hard.
Okay, that was just this week, or was that week?
That was just like the other day, just a few days ago.
Oh yeah, 4-5.
The back and forth ended up being like 5-4. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, those write-ups are really good. I'll make sure under the description of when I post this on YouTube, make sure I'll put the links to both servers.
Yeah, the elusive RBBL link, very hard to get, so take advantage of that.
For sure.
You just gotta jump through hoops to get in there. What about individual players? Like, I know that right now it looks like Pablo, after being quote unquote overdrafted by Killer Bat there. I mean, Pablo is looking like the home run or certainly the Silver Slugger Award long shot winner with 9 home runs, like going crazy with it. But Jose Canseco, I mean, Pablo's batting 714. Jose is batting a ridiculous 789. Only 3 home runs compared to Pablo's 9. But I mean, Jose is single-handedly carrying that team into the playoffs. So it's probably like a 2-man race between those two, with Zenon, Lindsay, and Chico on the outside looking in. I don't think Chico's done enough home run wise to even be in consideration, but Zenon, 6 home runs, the best offensive batting stats, tied with his sister. Stepsister? I don't know how it works, but fellow clone.
Yeah, the RBI lead is between Zenon and Pablo.
Yeah, crazy is Zenon has more RBIs than Pablo. Most of that coming in one game, where Zenon got a record 9 RBIs in one game in her 3 home run game. It's pretty good. And then Lindsay has been carrying the Rangers, batting 680 or 5 home runs.
Zenon, also, what's really interesting is that Zenon has not scored a run that wasn't off of a home run.
That's kind of to be expected, I would say.
Pablo has scored 4 runs. Fabian has actually scored a run that was not one of the ones that she hit out, which is really surprising.
Chico only has 4 RBIs on the season because Kathy Wolf sucks at batting. But I will say, Kathy Wolf for Defensive Player of the Year, easily. She's the best catcher I've ever seen, and I don't think it's close between her and anyone else. Any ground ball hit is just instantly
Sally Dobbs
destroyed.
is your RBI leader.
Yeah, because she bats right after Chico, who's already on like second or third base. I think almost all of her RBIs are Chico. Yeah, let's see. He's got
Chico is fifth in the league in hits with 14.
Yeah, he's like third, fourth, or fifth in pretty much every stat, except for multi-base hits, which he is number one in by a lot. And Sally has, 8 RBIs, and Chico has 7 runs scored. One of them were off his home run, but I'm pretty sure the rest he was all batted in by Sally. Love me some Sally. She was second in the league in strikeouts last year, but she's definitely improved a lot this season. Only striking out 6 times is where we get Kathy Wolf as, I think she's like third or fourth in the league in strikeouts, because she kind of sucks. I still have to lead off with her all the time, so it'd make no sense for her not to. But batting wise, yeah, she just kind of really sucked for me.
10 strikeouts.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that wasn't worst in the league. There's someone with 13, but pretty bad. Oh,
But there's 12 strikeouts for Omar, 11
Yeah.
for Nancy, 11 for Kellerman, and then 10 for Grace Tipton and Kathy Wolf.
those are like pitchers who are striking out on purpose to get stamps, so kind of embarrassing. Now, do you know who led the league last year in strikeouts?
I do not.
Well, this is a fun stat then. Last year, Lisa led the league in strikeouts, and Lisa led the league in strikeouts.
I get what you're saying. I remember that now. Now you mention it.
It's true.
I do remember that.
I mean, that doesn't count. That's only if you don't count Frank Thomas's free agent work. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we don't have the free agent system. But yeah, it's true. Cy Young Award winner, worst bat winner, and that's kind of like a bit like Kathy this year. Pretty dog shit on the bat. Although when she's gotten on, she's been able to do some work with Chico hitting her in, but not so much. Just not very good at getting on bat. I think she's only batting like 290 or some shit. But defensively though, she is the absolute best. She is a beast. She has not allowed a single ground rule or ground ball to become a single like all year. I don't think she's erred even like once.
It's really interesting to see some of the pitchers that have been doing pretty good. Because, like
Markey and Kenny, very surprise breakout pitchers. And then you've got my last round Diana, who has like 5 other clones out there. I think Chucky is pitching all right for B-ball, but Amanda is the one that you're like, okay, that's a Randy Johnson clone. Of course, she's doing well, but other than that, it's been kind of some weird pitchers that have been out there doing the best.
Lance Lambert.
Yeah, that's who Visser uses, right?
Yeah.
He's been pretty good. And then Markey. I can't believe Markey does not have very good stats, especially without Billie Jean being on the team. That's usually would make him into a good pitcher. Although let me see here. Wait, which team does Markey play for again?
The Royals. Alex.
Royals. Yeah, so he doesn't have to work, or he doesn't get to play the Red Sox, sadly. So we'll never be able to see Buff Markey out there, but buff or no buff, he has really been letting it fly out there with old Markey the boy. So good for him.
That fastball.
Yeah.
Markey, the speedrunning pitcher.
Yeah, that's Diana too, although I throw so many balls, not really a speed run. But yeah, that was kind of my goal, just going late into the drafts. Like, just get one of these pitchers that's good at throwing heats and stamina, with stamina being the most important thing. And that kind of is what makes Kenny so good. Just surprised that B-Ball hasn't done as well with his Diana clone, because he's got the Cal Ripken buff to move her from 94 to 100 stam, which is pretty OP.
Oh, that is true.
And yeah, so
Chucky Flender.
He kind of got Lisa to pitch, but now he uses Chucky about as much as Lisa.
Trying to find Lisa.
I will say next season, I'm pretty sure the meta is going to be either you draft a pitcher early to get Amanda or Randy, maybe Frank or Man, or not. Is it Mandy? I forget who's the clone for Frank.
Mandy Coolidge.
Yeah, Mandy Coolidge. You're either getting one of those 4 early, or you're completely ignoring pitcher, just getting a pitcher with your final pick. I feel like that's the move. Like, I think I'll always be able to get like a Diana late, or a version of Diana.
And a lot of like the pro players or some of the higher end generics have,
Yeah, they are just randomly good at like pitching 1 or 2 pitches.
So like if you need like a pinch to get a couple batters out, you could throw somebody in there.
I've always got Marty I can use with really, really good left and right hook. I mean, only 45 stand, but just to come in as relief, I've always got him I can throw out there. I have Sally, who has 3 good pitches I can throw out there. Uma, the really good heat. Like, all these players there's so many players that just randomly have like 1 or 2 good pitches, and that's really all you need. So pitching, I think, is not going to be a thing that people will draft for next year unless they're going like one of the elite pitchers early. Maybe we should let Clinky out there just to get more pitchers out there, but I don't know. I don't like the thought of that. Pitching's already too good as it is. Maybe we should just ban Randy and Amanda again from pitching.
I don't know, because like Amanda is doing the best, but you got a bunch of other pitchers.
Randy's on a team that doesn't know how to utilize them, let's be real.
You got a bunch of other pitchers that are doing a lot better than, the people that you would think that would be doing good.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just like, people are good at pitching, not players. Like, when it comes to batting, yeah, everyone generally knows how to bat, and the stats are going to kind of show. I mean, like, do you really think it's Markey that's a good pitcher, or do you think it's Alec? I think it's Alec. I bet it doesn't matter what pitcher you give Alex. I mean, Alex just knows how to pitch.
And that's another thing that, as we do more seasons, you'll be able to tell, okay, this person or this player, is really good at these particular things.
Yeah, for next season, we'll be looking at their season-long stats. We should also probably know who the coach was in the previous season, give it some context.
Because there's a lot of times where, like, a certain coach will do a certain thing with a certain player, and then somebody else will, like, overcompensate and try to go for it, and then it'll just be terrible.
Yeah, like me batting with Kathy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the stats accumulate over the seasons. I'm sure we'll keep like career stats for all these players like they do in our BBL.
Yeah, that's something they'll probably have.
I mean, some of the pros and backyard kids, we've kind of got a feel of how good they are. And some of them are a little bit skewed from Scum era. Like, I'd say Sean Green is probably not as good as anyone that's been playing since season 0 thinks he is, just because, lefty, and he was just on display in season 1, being the best free agent you can pick up.
Same thing with, like, Jeremy Burnett's, too.
Yeah. But I think if you start counting stats from this season on, since it shouldn't really be changing very much, if at all, then you should start to get a decent sample size of like what to expect out of people. Like, I'm sure Jose won't always be the best, but I mean, shoot, Jose was great this season. Jose was amazing last season. Jose was amazing in season 0. Could still just be circumstance or just luck. I mean, for online play, he does pretty much everything good. Surprisingly, I think it's the vision, honestly.
I think the biggest thing that would possibly change from the season that we currently are doing and for future is if we have an increase in the player base.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do when we have like 40 people that want to sign up?
Then just have like 14 subs. I don't know.
But like, I think that's like the interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that's just more sample size. But yeah, I was just assuming that the league keeps going at around the same size as this one, because then it would be a very consistent sample. But yeah, you're right. It does get bigger than if you split like 30 people up into 2 leagues of 15, those teams are going to be way stronger than these teams or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the number of teams and then the players that you have to select from. So your 9th rounders are going to be like 6th rounders then.
But this season's stats are going to be way more important than like when I was doing the pre-draft stuff. I would pull like our BBL draft numbers or whatever, and we weren't as sexist as our BBL, which proved time and time again that they would pick males before females.
Crazy.
They're exact clones. Yeah, but the other things like that, no, I think we should definitely get a pretty good market value of each of these players within like 1 or 2 seasons. It'll be very easy to evaluate things like trades. Also be harder to get an advantage on draft night though, which is a little lame, but hey, part of the fun.
And I think the other thing is we didn't know trades as far as like draft slots, so that's something that maybe in the future we might implement. I know they do that for RBL.
Please, no, I don't want people policing themselves on week 1.
Well, we might keep that the same, but
that's going to suck.
Who knows? It's just a possibility depending on what people want.
I mean, everyone's just going to want to trade into the top 10. And they'll trade anything to get into the top 10, because if you don't have a top 10 draft pick, you're fucked.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's definitely a big advantage.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think that does it for kind of what the baseball league has been going on. I'm gonna quickly, before we wrap up, quickly go over some of the what's been going on with the football league. I think we've had 3 or 4 tournaments so far.
We've had 4, and me and Say Stave have both won 2 of them, including Say Stave taking last night's Turkey Bowl over me. I got Pablo'd. It happens. It was a good one. Yes, we had we had season 0, right? We played a whole season through with 6 players.
Yep.
That went fairly well, I'd say. And then we've kind of switched over to a more traditional esports style of just tournaments and collective tournament points for this season. I mean, it kind of sucks that a lot of the more active football players are only available like way, way, way late at night. They're from the West Coast. So attendance has been a little bit up and down. This last week, though, we had 6 players in the tournament. It wasn't bad. But there was a tournament where like I was traveling and then some other players had to work or whatever. There was only 3 people, but it seems to get more popular each time. Got some more people saying they're going to sign up, including you.
Yep.
So hopefully we get 8 people next time. Have a proper tournament.
Even though I am terrible at it, but I'll join and have fun.
Everyone's terrible at this, okay? Everyone's terrible. We need just the bodies out there. We need the terrible people playing the terrible people so they can get better.
That's true.
It doesn't take that long to get good, I would say. I'd say we got DJK good at football in about like 3 or 4 nights of playing. It's not that hard, don't worry. We're always available to teach you guys the meta if we want more comp.
What was going out? I just played my first football game that was online, and what I kept having issue with was that my cursor was going off of Scum, and then it would click on Discord.
Oh. Yeah, you gotta, I don't know how people play like that. I just full screen it because you're gonna be flicking your mouse a lot. And sometimes you want to flick to end a screen and click it. And yeah, you can't be playing windowed mode like that in football. It's so hard to play windowed mode in football. I just would not. I would hit, it's not F11. I think it's Alt Enter and Scum to go full screen. But yeah,
I
definitely
might have to
full
try
screen.
that next time I do football, do full screen.
Oh yeah, it's kind of mandatory. And then
Because like I was out having a ton of problems, and then there was no Keisha, and I was playing Kez Carte, and he had Dimitri, and I had Mikey, and Mikey was terrible at blocking.
oh yeah, so I will say me and BBOL played each other probably like 100 times each, maybe more. We've kind of got the meta as far as players figured out, and if you have 2 speed, you're unplayable, no matter who you are. So Mikey has 1 speed especially, so he's completely useless. You might as well have Ronnie Dobbs out there blocking for you, because even though his blocking stat is really good, he's too slow. Keisha, Lisa, and even Dimitri are 3 speed, but they're on the faster side of 3 speed, especially like Keisha and Lisa. So you can just walk around Mikey Thomas. Although the meta has kind of shifted to where you almost don't want to run Keisha at D-line. You want to run guys like Pablo and Pete and just fast players on D-line. So I mean, if you got Mikey Thomas attempting to block Pete, sorry, that's not happening. You're just going to get sacked. And yeah, it's pretty apparent who, I mean, it's such a small player base. There are just so few players you can choose from. All the best players are kind of established. Like, if everyone is available, which one of the cooler things about football is your players, there are always going to be 6 missing players. And when you're playing season play, it always just happens to be whoever's on your team or their team. But it kind of determines a lot of the draft. When some key players are missing, it really shakes things up, especially when it comes to linemen. Like, there are only 3 viable linemen, and if like Keisha and Lisa are both missing, then all of a sudden Dimitri becomes a really valuable pick. But say that the 6 missing players are all people like Ronnie or just useless players, your typical draft would be just not going off a snake, but your typical draft would be like Jerry first overall. A bit of debate about that, but I think me and B-Ball just fight over Jerry because he has the most impact. He's the best corner. He's the best wide receiver. He is simply the best at catching the ball, and his iframes are insane. He just do everything well. So Jerry first overall, and then after that it would be probably like Pablo, because Pablo is like the best D lineman. But he's a weird player in football because offensively he's amazing because he's great at getting around tackles and avoid being blocked or body blocked. But on defense, he can't really guard that well. But on D line, he gets through, like he sneaks around the blocks better than anyone. He's so fast, just an elite player. So probably Pablo there. And then You probably get to Keisha. Dante, who, I have Dante valued higher than other players, but he's just the best quarterback. He has the best accuracy, very fast, just as my QB. And then you would get to players like Barry Sanders. Pete's probably the most controversial player, pretty much always banned. He's both the best player and the worst player at the same time because the dude can't really catch, but he's so much faster than everyone else that he influences the game more than anyone. He's kind of a player you want on your team if you're trying to upset someone better than you because he's just a wild card. Yeah, you'd have like Barry and Pete, and then there's a bit of a drop off to Randall, who's an amazing overall player, very good cornerback, and then like Steve Young, who's the best quarterback that's not Dante, and just overall pretty decent fast player. And then down to your Brett Favre's, your basically anyone that's just like tall, which is very important for catching, and fast. You have to be at least 3 speed. And yeah, Brett's good at all those things, good at catching, can cover decently. And then you kind of fall into like the range of you got Luann because she's fast and be a pretty good wide receiver. After that, it gets a little rough. Typically, players would pick people like Vicky or Reese, but we found that they're actually pretty bad. They're too short. They're not fast enough to be good, especially in Vicky's case. It's oddly enough, we found players like Gretchen and Annie to be really good in this next tier over guys like Vicky and Reese. That's kind of like the typical tier list order that we'd pick players that we've determined from just playing each other over and over and over and over and over.
I noticed that yesterday, Annie, Dante, Pablo, and Pete were like the all-stars. Keisha did pretty well too.
Yeah, Annie was on my season, the season 0, like where we all had 2 players that you had to have each time. It was Dante and Annie for me. Annie is kind of like a Swiss Army knife, sort of like Randall, just to a lesser extent. A little bit shorter, a little bit slower, a little bit worse at catching, but very good at body blocking, which is kind of like a hidden stat. Some players are good at that. Some players like Luann or short players are very bad at that, but it's very, very, very important. Kind of determines all of like pass defending.
BBOL actually won season 0. I forgot about that.
He sure did. But I don't even think he's played in a tournament yet because they're always while he has to work.
Well, maybe he needs to not work.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell him that.
He needs to tell his supervisor that he has a backyard football tournament.
Very important backyard football tournament. Yeah.
See what they say. Yeah.
I'm sure he'll understand.
They don't understand, then find another job that understands.
I think he likes the sushi place too much. Free sushi.
Oh, that's what it is.
You got Battlehammer asking, will it be a Coach of the Year award or Most Improved Player of the Year award? Or will it just go to players, like backyard players?
That's a good question.
You have to give me a retroactive Most Improved Player for last season, going from 2-7 to the league camp.
That's a good question. If
I'd be down with that.
I think that if people want it, we
have
can
to come up with a cool name for it.
Why not do it if people want it? I mean, you have to talk to the other league admins and see what they think, but
problem is there aren't actually a ton of players that played last season and this season, and I would say that almost none of us that played last year are better than we were last year. A lot of the good players are like new. I mean, I guess you would have to give it to Viscery for Most Improved Player, certainly. Although I would argue that he was good last year. He just randomly lost to like the worst possible teams to keep himself from making the playoffs. Like he ended up eliminating himself a little early. He had lost to the teams he should have not lost to, and just didn't have the tiebreakers. Honestly, of all the players that played last year, you got a lot of least improved players.
Yeah, that's almost kind of what it seems like.
Like poor B-Ball, poor Person Izzle. Those two, very disappointing. Even Trigatriz made the playoffs last year. I think it was decent. This year it's just been rough. Yeah, just a lot of new names up there.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of new information and a lot of new strategies. And
a lot of top players didn't make it to the season. Rajas. I mean, who's going to lose in the finals now Rajas isn't here? And of course, Laharo, RIP.
Yeah, Rajas had IRL stuff that prevented him from playing.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Question Monkey actually sticking out this time. Give it to him. Nah, it's got to go to Viscery then.
Or maybe JY will lose in the finals.
Yeah. How about Willigan? Because Rajas was always the Rangers. Willigan's done a pretty good job of.
Ooh, that would be interesting if it's the Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers 3 years in a row.
That would be something. Yeah, but the playoffs are probably going to be around January, so right in the new year.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a non-fish team win it all this year. Maybe. Hopefully not. Me and Chris are on the outside looking in right now, so it's looking like it might be a non-fish team, finally.
Hey, we'll see what happens. But I think that's going to do it all for what we have today. Hopefully we'll have more podcasts going over the online league and more of the actual nitty-gritty as far as what games have been going on. Hopefully we can get some of the games streamed and see you guys in the Discords and the various social media platforms. So till next time, see you guys later.
Goodbye.